In a small village nestled between the hills lived a young man named Arav. He wasn't poor, but he wasn't well off either. He wasn't the smartest in his class, but he wasn't a fool. He was average. Arav had dreams, big ones. He often looked up at the sky while walking through the dusty roads, wondering if people like him ever made it out. He wanted to do something great, something that mattered. But every day, he found himself stuck in the same routine, waking up late, helping a little at his father's shop, wasting hours on his phone, and sleeping with regret. One afternoon, while scrolling through videos, he watched a story about a boy who became successful against all odds. Inspired, Arav stood up and declared to himself, "From tomorrow, I will change." But the next morning came. The alarm rang. And like always, he hit snooze. Days passed, and Arav kept making promises to himself. "I'll start reading tomorrow. I'll wake up early next week. I just need to feel a bit more motivated." But tomorrow never came. Motivation faded as fast as it appeared, and excuses filled the space where action should have been. One evening, as the sun dipped behind the hills, Arav sat outside his house, feeling restless. A quiet frustration burned inside him. He knew he wasn't living up to his potential, but he didn't know what to do. That night, unable to sleep, he wandered into the nearby fields just to clear his mind. As he walked along the narrow path, he noticed an old man sitting on a rock near a well. The man was staring at the sky, calm and silent. Arav hesitated, but something about the man's presence felt peaceful, anchored. Without turning his head, the old man said, "The sky looks the same every night. But only those who watch it long enough notice how the stars slowly shift." Arav sat beside him, unsure what to say. The old man looked at him and asked, "Do you want to change your life, boy?" Arav replied softly, "More than anything. But I don't know why I keep failing." The old man smiled faintly and said, "Because change is uncomfortable, and most people fear discomfort more than they fear failure." The old man stood slowly and picked up a small stone from the ground. He handed it to Arav and said, "Hold this tightly." Arav gripped the stone in his fist. "Now walk with it for the rest of the night," the old man said. Arav looked confused. "Why?" "Just do it," the man replied. They walked in silence. After some time, Arav's hand began to ache. His fingers stiffened, and the stone, though small, started to feel heavy. "Why does this hurt?" Arav finally asked. The old man smiled. "It's not the stone. It's the fact that you've been holding on too long." He continued, "That's what most people do. They hold on to laziness, distractions, excuses, and then complain about the weight of life, but they never let go." Arav looked down at the stone and slowly opened his hand. It fell quietly to the ground. His fingers, numb and tired, began to move again. The old man said, "If you want to stop being average, let go of the average version of you." Then he paused, looked directly into Arav's eyes and added, "But that decision is yours, and only yours." Before they parted ways, the old man turned back one last time and said, "If this story meant something to you, don't forget to subscribe and turn on the bell. It's free, but it tells me you're ready to grow." The next morning, Arav woke up before the alarm. For the first time in months, he didn't scroll his phone. He just sat on his bed, remembering the old man's words. He picked up a notebook and wrote down one sentence: "I'm not waiting for motivation anymore." That day, he began small. He organized his room. He helped his father without being asked. He read 5 pages of a book he'd bought months ago but never opened. The changes were tiny, almost invisible. No one noticed. But Arav felt something different. He wasn't chasing some giant goal. He was just showing up. A week passed, then 2. He still had doubts, still had lazy moments, but each time his mind whispered, "Just skip today," he whispered back, I've already started." What surprised him most wasn't how hard it was, but how powerful he felt by simply not quitting. Late one evening, as he closed his book, he looked at the night sky again. It was the same sky, but he felt like a different person. And deep inside, he knew. The difference between staying average and becoming great isn't a huge leap. It's showing up when it's easier to stay the same. Weeks turned into months, and Arav's days looked different now. He still lived in the same village, wore the same clothes, and walked the same roads, but something inside him had shifted. People started to notice. His father, once doubtful, began smiling more. His friends, who used to tease him for trying too hard, now asked him for advice. Even the shopkeeper down the street said, "You walk like someone who knows where he's going." But Arav knew the truth. He wasn't some miracle success story. He hadn't won a prize or gone viral or made money overnight. All he had done was something most people never do. He stayed consistent after the motivation disappeared. One evening, he passed by the same well where he had first met the old man. The rock was empty now. The man was gone. But the lesson remained. Arav sat there, closed his eyes, and smiled. Not because he had reached his dream, but because for once, he wasn't afraid of the climb. He whispered to himself, "I was never average. I just hadn't started yet." The seasons changed. Arav didn't become famous. He didn't move to a big city. He didn't suddenly find riches. But every morning he rose with purpose. Every night he slept with peace. He became the kind of person he once admired, not because life gave him the perfect moment, but because he stopped waiting for one. And those who once called him average now watched quietly, wondering how he had changed. But Arav knew. It wasn't luck. It wasn't talent. It was one simple truth he chose to live by. Greatness isn't found in big moments. It's built in small choices, repeated every day. And now it's your turn. If your future self could watch you right now, would they be proud or disappointed?